A town hall meeting is being called to address the myths, barriers, and realities of returning to the mainstream for ex-offenders and their families. Human Services does its part for Project Homeless Connect, and Norfolk joins a statewide initiative to help the city's homeless at Norfolk Scope. Don't go away. Human Services Forum begins now. Welcome to Human Services Forum. Working together to build solutions. The annual Prisoner Reentry Town Hall meeting represents many things to many people. To the Norfolk community, it's public safety. To the ex-offenders, it's hope for a better life. And what about their families? Dr. Denise Byron supervises the Norfolk Reentry Program, and joining her is Janice Roach, Family and Community Integration Social Worker. This is an event that happens every year where families and ex-offenders are invited to speak what's on their mind, but also to hear from the community. So it's a nice give and take in a town hall format. Seems to work.
It's designed to be a community collaboration. So there are people in the community providing services that maybe others don't know about. Even that we don't know about, that we hear as they hear about the town hall meeting and want to come and be a vendor. We have partners that are on the Reentry Council that have been working with us for several years, that come and do a vendor display, you know, and talk to the community about what they're providing in the community for offenders or their families. And then we have, this year, we have a little bit of a regional focus because there's so much happening in reentry right now, both in the region and statewide, that we will be talking some about some of those larger efforts, some of the big picture stuff.
All right. The concept of prisoner reentry is not new, but it is something that did start rather small, and it's been growing, and which you have just attested to. In Norfolk, the prisoner reentry program has been going on for 4 years, which is a good long time, and that says something too about, you know, how things are working. What does it do for the people who are incarcerated, getting ready to be released?
I think the big piece is the collaboration between the Department of Human Services and Probation and Parole. That we go together jointly, like we have a trip planned next week to Fluvanna to meet with those offenders who are coming home to Norfolk.
Okay, that's a correctional facility.
That's a correctional facility, yes, for women in the state of Virginia. And we will go, the two of us and the probation officer who's assigned to reentry for the city of Norfolk. And we'll go and interview them and find out, you know, their home plan, what their educational or vocational goals are, any medical or mental health needs they might have, whether they need clothing, you know, just from the very basic needs to the more in-depth kind of personal needs. And we'll talk with them and try to get a plan started, a reentry plan, for when they come back to the community.
I did say that this was not something new. However, those needs were not addressed in the years past, and now people and the folks in the courts and what have you are also seeing that there is a need for people to have access to some things before and have them set up before they leave, because if they don't, they have that much more to conquer once they're out. And the recidivism or return to prison is something that you don't want to happen.
Right, and that's really the public safety piece, that none of us want to live in a community that's not safe. And we want to feel like we can be a part of the community, that we can contribute to the community. And folks who are returning from incarceration is the same. And many of them, their families have been in the community contributing. They're taxpayers, they're here. But the reintegration is much like a return from deployment for the military. You know, their loved one is coming back home, and it causes a disruption in the household and in the day-to-day functioning. It's one more person who has to be fed. It's, you know, an increase in utilities and those kind of things, which are the very simple things. But then it's also just navigating the relationships and how they change when people are away.
Absolutely. And Janice, that's where you come in too. You work with people in terms of hooking them up with the resources they need to become a stronger family unit, if indeed that is one of the goals when they're released.
Correct.
Yeah. This is often a challenge for families.
Often a challenge because, like Dr. Byron said, you can relate it towards the military families when they come home. Mm-hmm. An ex-offender's been gone for a while, they come back into the family, and the family hasn't functioned as a unit in a long time. So it is taxing on them to try to redefine their roles.
Mm-hmm. And redefining roles, is that part of what you do too?
I do work with the ex-offender during the pre-release phase, the reentry phase, and the stabilization phase. Mm-hmm. And what I do is I connect them with their family, and I do family assessments. And I use a strength-based approach so I can work on their positives and their strengths mm-hmm. in order to help them with the resources they need. And if that's family counseling, I can do that as well. Mm-hmm. And we also have our peer support group on Thursday nights at the Workforce Development Center on Thursday from 6 to 7, and their families are welcome to come to that too. Matter of fact, we're having a family night tomorrow night.
Okay, so this is something that people, they welcome it?
They do welcome mm-hmm. it, and it's actually been very productive and conducive to them when they come home to get, interactions from their peers and to work on those family issues in peer groups so that mm-hmm. they can take what they've learned and take it back to their families.
Right. I know it must be a great relief too to be able to speak one's heart and feelings and mind amongst others who may understand.
Yes, and without clinical people watching over them or a probation officer watching over them. So it gives them a chance to kind of open up to their peers, like you said.
Well, yeah, there's nothing like having a sense of community amongst those who are facing some of the same issues and maybe some different ones, but nonetheless they're trying to make sure that things work out this time around, and that is the goal mm-hmm. overall. So the event that comes every year mm-hmm. is going to be taking place in October, and October 20th.
Correct.
And if you could just tell us a little bit about what it's called and where it is and time and what people can expect.
Okay, it's the Norfolk Town Hall meeting mm-hmm. For prisoner reentry, and it'll be held at Wesley Memorial Methodist Church, mm-hmm. and that is at 188, I had to think about the address, 188 East Little Creek, mm-hmm. Right off the highway. So there's plenty of parking at that facility, and we'll be there from 5:30 to 8:30. Mm-hmm. From 5:30 to 6:30, we'll have the vendors that I mentioned before, some of our community partners and people who want to share with the community what kinds of services they offer. We'll be there, and we'll be on display, and people will be available to answer questions and do some networking, and as well as provide the services to the community. And from 6:30 to 8:30 will be the actual program, where we'll do some keynote speaker. We'll have introductions and some of the panel members who will speak for just a few minutes, and then the majority of the time is donated to or devoted to audience questions. So we take questions from the audience, whether it's professionals that have questions or community members, someone who's returning from incarceration, a family member. We get questions from all places, mm-hmm. and then try to answer them to the best of our ability.
Okay. And your panel, do you have what is represented on your panel?
The Office to End Homelessness is mm-hmm. represented, Veterans Affairs, the Division of Child Support Enforcement, the Sheriff's Office is represented. We have the Director of Operations for the Eastern Region for the Department of Corrections. It's going to be on the panel this year. So it's a broad spectrum of people. There'll be a family member of someone who's been incarcerated. There'll also be someone who's been formerly incarcerated, all on the panel, so that there's a little bit of representation from a variety of areas.
Okay, that's really broad representation. Mm-hmm. That's great. So you've really got it covered, and plus the people who attend who may have some burning questions. I know that you have been to these events in the past, and Janice, working with the families in terms of working with them getting along as well as being reintegrated into the community. Are there particular issues that seem to stand out above and beyond most?
Above and beyond, housing is their issue, and employment. Employment, we've worked, for the last few years. We have a offender workforce development specialist team that has trained other people and professionals in the community to help with some of the barriers that ex-offenders face with employment. But we still need to network with the employers in order to educate them on the benefits, of hiring an ex-offender. So we're still working on that in process. But I would say employment and housing are their main two barriers.
Okay, employment and housing, and they are very basic needs for most of us. And with that extra barrier of having been, out of the loop for a while, it certainly must be a struggle, particularly in this day and age. You have been not too long ago, a few months ago, had a luncheon introducing some of the employers or potential employers to the concept of having some people work with them, either in internships or in full-time work, and you do have some people that are doing just that right now.
Yeah, we did. We had, in collaboration with Tidewater Community College, they have a job skills training program, and the Up Center, which has a bookstore training program, we provided a lunch for some employers to come and just ask questions about the benefits, as Ms. Roach said, the benefits of hiring someone with a criminal record, including the tax credit. Federal bonding is available, and the state is going to be issuing federal bonds again for offenders who are coming home into professions where they might need to be bonded. And so just to try to talk to employers and see were they open to the idea of hiring someone with a criminal record. Now, there's a lot of myths about hiring people with criminal records, or for people who are currently incarcerated, they hear there's no jobs or they can't get jobs with felonies. And we try to tell people that that's not true. It may be harder, they may have more doors that close on them, but it is possible to work. And it is possible to find employers who will hire them and give them a second chance.
Well, good. And this is also the type of, this group, these potential employers are also welcome to something like this. This would be a wonderful forum for them so that they can ask questions and actually hear from people who are experiencing some of these difficulties, and even perhaps meet some people, and so everybody wins. Wanted to run one more time, pass you the time, date, name of the event that's coming up on October 20th, and this is the Norfolk Prisoner Reentry Town Hall Council. And is this the fourth?
Yes.
We're having the fourth annual, 5:30 to 8:30 at Wesley Memorial United Methodist. That's on East Little Creek Road. I believe you said is 155. 664-3240 is the number to call. You want to have people to call and register first, or do you just want them to show up?
Yeah, and actually that's the fax number.
Oh, sorry.
So,
that's Jan's fault.
Yeah, that's okay.
But you could always fax in your
registration. You can call 664-7799.
Okay.
For myself, or sorry, I keep patting that mic. 664-7723 for Ms. Roach, and we can answer your questions about the event. And we are asking that people pre-register just so we have an idea of how many people are coming. If folks want to bring handouts or flyers or materials.
Okay.
So it's helpful for us to have a sense of how many people are coming.
All right. If you have problems getting those numbers down, you can also call 664-6000, which is the main number for the Department of Human Services, and you can ask about the Prisoner Reentry Town Hall meeting. They'll hook you up with the right people. My apologies for the number. I just like fax numbers. What can I say?
That's okay.
Thank you for sharing the information. This is always a good event, an interesting one, and one you never know what's going to happen, but people get together and talk about some good things and looking to the future in a positive way.
Yeah, and you made a great point about employers. This is a wonderful time for people, small business owners, larger businesses maybe that have gaps in where they're able to fill jobs. This is a population that needs to work, that has motivation to work, that has a case manager, has a probation officer, has a support system that can help them in getting stabilized, but they need employment. So we would encourage anyone who has a business or has jobs available, has training available, to come and share with us what's going on.
Oh, that's great. Thanks for repeating that too. Good information. Thank you. I hope this works out great, and it's another great event. Well, when we come back, we're going to tell you about the people who make it their job to help during the biannual Project Homeless Connect, and about the City of Norfolk's involvement in a campaign to find 1,000 homes for 1,000 Virginians. We'll be right back.
Have you heard? The U.S. Treasury is phasing out paper checks for Social Security, VA, and other federal benefit payments and going electronic. If you currently receive federal benefits by paper check, you will need to switch to direct deposit or to the Treasury recommended Direct Express Debit MasterCard. If you plan to apply for federal benefits soon, you'll want to decide which electronic payment option is right for you. Visit godirect.org to learn more or to make the switch today.
Twice a year, Project Homeless Connect draws individuals in need to Norfolk Scope, where they can access services and programs that address their basic needs. Among those assisting in the effort are employees from the Department of Human Services. A cadre of eligibility workers is at the ready to determine who may qualify for public benefits, while others assist individuals with obtaining IDs or connecting ex-offenders to resources for housing, education, and employment. But none could happen without our stellar information technology team. Our hats are off to you, Ron and Corey, and to all of our staff who stand by and offer a helping hand. And let's not forget TV 48 producer John Linka, seen here with Sarah Fuller, who is the director for the Office to End Homelessness. We ran into everybody that day, and of course that brings us to another member of the Office to End Homelessness team. That is Kimberly Thomas. She's joining us with the latest facts and figures from September 14th's Project Homeless Connect, which was, again, a big draw on Norfolk Scope being a large place, and one of the exhibition halls certainly is not lacking for room. So we had a number of people turning out there. How did the event go overall?
The event overall was very successful. We actually saw 591 guests to come into the exhibition hall seeking services. This was our 11th event. And the turnout was about average. We usually see between 500 and 600 guests per event.
Okay. And these people come in for a variety of reasons, and some of the things that are offered there would be what?
Absolutely. The Project Homeless Connect is staged as a mega event, one-day mega event, which will allow guests to navigate their ways through benefit programs such as the Human Services offices, the Department of Elections, Social Security Administration, as well as Veteran Services. We have a full-service medical team, which includes dentists and hygienists who provide their services as well as medical professionals who are there to do things like blood pressure screenings, HIV testing, and things to make sure that we address the care and well-being of those guests who are most vulnerable in our communities.
Did I see somebody getting a haircut?
You did.
Oh,
we do have barbers who volunteer, who come in and provide free haircuts and stylings for our guests as well, because we want this to be a overall holistic experience. Of course, addressing those needs that are most important to them, like housing, benefits, employment. But we also want them to benefit also from some of the things that will provide them just a little bit of a push or uplift to say somebody is really thinking about them and wants them to feel special that day.
Yeah, that has to mean an awful lot to everybody who comes through that door, because it's hard to do.
Absolutely.
But once you do it, find out that people are welcoming you, and maybe there is a chance to lift yourself up and move on. The people that attend this, this is for individuals who are facing homelessness. Is that correct?
That is correct. This event is marketed for single homeless adults in our community. We market it for the single homeless adults because there is not a structured system in place that allows them to navigate multiple arenas at one time. Families do have those structures in place with the Department of Human Services and other community providers. We have very tight structures that allow them to get the help they need at the moment that they need it. For singles, it's a little bit about navigating, knowing where to go, the appropriate places that they need to visit to get things done, and most importantly, the stakeholders who are involved in making sure that their needs are met at the best that we can do that.
You mentioned that some of these basic things we take for granted.
Yes.
Having an ID. Social Security number, card, even
Absolutely.
having access to it so you know what it is, finding out that maybe you could receive benefits from Social Security, you may qualify, or perhaps you qualify for some other help that could either help with your health, and maybe that's one of the factors that, you know,
Sure.
figures into why you
Sure.
are where you are.
Absolutely.
So this is, I know it is promoted, but I'm sure it is also promoted pretty easily throughout the community from people who have been there before or have benefited from it.
Absolutely. We take pride in a few areas of how we get the information out into the community. We market this specifically to our service providers. We want to make sure that information is readily available so that those folks that they come in contact with will benefit from the services that are being offered. One of the biggest things that we're actually building on with the Project Homeless Connect event is that we're actually having a lot of formerly homeless citizens come back and volunteer.
I was about to mention that because I was there that day for a
Yes.
while, and the first person I talked to was, she said, I came here and attended as somebody who was homeless, and she goes, I'm volunteering now, and she was very proud of it. And I found out that that's true of a number of people there.
It is very true, and it's one of those. It's an excellent volunteer base. I mean, it actually makes a lot of sense. You go back to the folks who've experienced this for themselves, who can give us the pointers and the details on things we should do better, things we should have more of or less of, and directly how do we reach out to those folks who are not necessarily accessing mainstream benefits and services and that are hard to find. We actually have an outreach team on the day of Project Homeless Connect that go into the community and look for those well-hidden places and find folks and bring them back to the arena so that they can participate in that one-day mega service event as well.
Wow, it's a great way to reach as many people as possible,
Absolutely.
because it isn't easy.
Not at all. Not at
Well,
all.
you're trying to, you know, apply structure to something that isn't, and that is that's quite a challenge. But apparently, it does draw people in.
It does.
You mentioned the volunteers that have been there as a homeless individual or as homeless individuals before. But what about the folks that are there from different organizations that provide these services? Are there quite a few that are involved in doing this?
Absolutely, and we have to say hats off to all of our great volunteers. This year was actually remarkable in that we had so many volunteers to want to participate. I actually, at the last week or so, had to turn folks down. But that's one of those unique things that, you know, a lot of organizations are probably wishing for, that they had volunteers, you know, in multitude. We had great support from the City of Norfolk. Lots of our City of Norfolk employees actually take the time to come out and volunteer. I mean, we're talking about a full 12-hour day in some cases for some of these folks, depending on their volunteer responsibilities. This year, we actually were approached by KPMG, which is actually the city's auditing firm, who knows what we are into because they audit our files, they see what we do for a living, but they felt very compelled to give back to the community that they serve on a professional basis, and they have affirmed their commitment to us helping us out in future events.
Wow.
Faith-based organizations continue to be a foundation for our volunteer pool. And we also have a lot of involvement from places like the Department of Corrections and some student organizations, some of the fraternities and sororities on different university campuses. Some even the medical facilities have folks who say, well, I don't want to do what I do for a living. I just want to come and help out just in general that day. So we love our volunteers.
Right, it's a great project for a lot of these organizations too, particularly you talk about the sororities and fraternities. And
Absolutely.
It's a perfect way to be able to give back and do something positive and something that's different than a lot of the other things. Of course, a lot of this overlaps too. We were speaking with Dr. Denise Byron earlier about the prisoner reentry town hall meeting and that program, and they actually had a team there, and one of the photographs that we put up a little earlier was of Dr. Byron and some of her staff who work with ex-offenders, because they too can have, because of the challenges, may not end up going home.
Absolutely.
They may end up out on the street or without a home, and I'm sure that makes up some of the population of the homeless individuals we find.
One of the things our office really wants to get across to folks is that homelessness has no face. There's no way that you can actually define homelessness by a look or a situation. You would be surprised that people maybe you carpool with, or you ride alongside on the light rail, or you are in, even your office mates may have or are currently experiencing an episode of homelessness. So we want to make sure that we take very special care in understanding homelessness as it relates to our community. For some folks, it's episodic. It may be a once in a lifetime happening. But for some folks, they're cycling in and out of homelessness, and this can be over years, even decades. We've worked with folks who've been homeless for decades. And what we're trying to do is come up with the best practices that we can to address their needs and to make these folks, these citizens in our community, safe and secure in permanent supportive housing that will allow them to live long and fulfilling lives.
Okay, good. The people that are seeking shelter, what have you, in the interim, when they've maybe gotten some services, but they're still out there, there are some points of entry that
Absolutely.
People can go to. And what are they?
Well, for the families who are experiencing homelessness in our community, they can actually call the Families Hotline, which is 622-5920. That allows them to access these services available to families in the community to help them either stabilize their housing situation because some are in danger of becoming homeless, or to get back into permanent housing if they are living in difficult situations. Mm-hmm. For our single adults, we actually have several points of entry, but the ones that I would like to bring up mainly today would be our day center, which is St. Columba Ecumenical Ministries, which is at the corner of Lafayette and Tidewater Drive in Norfolk, okay. The Union Mission on Virginia Beach Boulevard, okay. as well as the Salvation Army Day Center and Shelter on 19th and Granby Street.
Okay, so 3 locations that are in 3 different areas of Norfolk.
Absolutely.
They're not too close together, mm-hmm. but still fairly easy to reach and on bus lines.
On the bus line, absolutely. Mm-hmm. That's the most important thing, that we have things that are on the bus line.
Right, so they are accessible to
yes.
people. So if anybody knows somebody who may need those services, you can certainly tell them. Anybody who happens to be watching who knows they may, certainly that's it. But there is help out there if you know where to go and you know who to call. And
absolutely.
Of course, that's what a lot of this is all about. And certainly Project Homeless Connect, which 11 of them, I cannot believe it's been 11 of them already, have taken place. So
yeah.
the next one will be in several months, is that correct?
The next one will be early next year,
okay.
March or April of next year. So we have plenty of time to galvanize our support and our services. And as always, we're looking for sponsors, volunteers, and service providers.
That's right, so get in line, because the volunteering aspect seems to be very popular.
Absolutely.
And I think that says a lot about our community.
It says a lot about the ethic of our community, and I really appreciate that.
All right. Well, that's terrific. So once again, the Project Homeless Connect will be in 2012. I cannot believe it's already going to be a new year. We've got the number here for just the office to end homelessness as well. You have questions. There's a website as well if you want to learn more about it. We also have a project and an initiative that we're running out of time on because I got so caught up in what you're saying, called 1,000 Homes for 1,000 Virginians. And, you know, because we've run so short on time, I'd like to really have you come back and,
sure.
and Sarah, and talk a little bit more about this new statewide initiative.
Absolutely.
That, is just being announced.
It's just being announced, fresh off the presses.
Great. So thank you for coming on and sharing the good work.
Thank you.
Of the Office to End Homelessness and the work of all of our volunteers and our employees at the City of Norfolk.
Thanks,
Kim.
very much.
And thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.